Hello, monkey. Well, it is the day where we are building something from scratch, I guess. Not completely from scratch, but I guess the first steps into the real game. Maybe that's also wrong. But yeah, we never had an intro before, so getting from intro into the world feels a little odd. For me at least, after 3 years. Something real. On top of that, I was thinking, and I'm not sure anymore about this part. This part was always intended for the battle system to have an environment. And without this, it will be hard to have an environment. But now that we made a story concept of everything, including this, feels kinda odd to have this. Because here we assume that the flow is part of the crystal. Now the crystal itself is the program that we start on our PC that latches onto this world. The ARPlings are using this flow to get to the other dimension. Now, if I explain that the artifacts and the crystal, etc., have this flow, why would ARPlings use this? I mean, in Act 1, etc., maybe we can explain, yeah, they are enslaved, so they are not actually doing it. It's actually the artifacts doing it. But what after the Act 2, where there are no more enslaving artifacts? Why would I need the flow still? I mean, firstly, okay, we can do the flow to traverse the crystals, etc. The crystal is still part of it, so just going into the flow to traverse it is normal, I guess. But the fights. Firstly, they are not enslaved. Why are they fighting us? Secondly, why would they use the power of the crystal to trap us? What if in Act 3 our sidekick doesn't have full control over the tree and tries to control it by throwing it into the correct direction, etc., and then has the power? But what then in the endgame part? What then? I would still be able to explain the ones in the Infinite Islands area. Maybe they are corrupted or something, I'm not sure. And we are there to free them. But what do we do with the ones that are in the purified or converted tree. Right? What would be the motivation of the Orplings to fight us? We could say that, yeah, our sidekick decided to make them like that because challenge, etc., the player's still a player or something like that, but that feels weak. I could also just remove all the Orplings, but that makes no sense. Then again, there's another thing. If the Orplings can be in the internet or in the fairylands being corrupted, why would Orplings go there by their own as fairies? Maybe as fairies they cannot be corrupted. But how can they transform into Orplings then? Maybe not that important of a question. There can be always some reason. And if we find a reason for the tree, then it would also solve maybe the one in the infinity corridor. My. I always write concept with the English C but the German Z. My brain is just not thinking when writing. Here is it maybe correct? I'm not sure. Oh, hello Kona! When did you write? I didn't even see. How are you doing? What about me? I'm good. I can't wait for the weekend, I guess. But right now what I'm doing is thinking about the game concepts, since I did some concepting yesterday in stream, and one part of my game seems to be not fully aligning anymore. I'm trying to come up with a reason why I could still go with that. What are you doing? You're watching me. Thank you. So maybe I can explain what the problem is, but it will be a little complicated. I try to make it as simple as possible. So there is this thing. There are these island crystals, you remember? There are these big structures. And now it turns out these structures are a part of a software you just started. The software being like this. You start the game, there is like a little narration here, which tells you that there was a friend or whatever giving you a software to start, to test it yourself, etc. This needs to be fleshed out. But then this little console opens, and this is basically the program that you receive that you want to run on your computer. So we say yes, and it runs. And it wants you to start a new world, so you do. And then it does a bunch of things, basically giving you the story impression that whatever is here is a software that is doing something on your computer. And when then this is done, it tells you to enter this simulation, and you do enter it. And then you will find out that whatever that software is are these crystals, these structures in the game. And they are kinda evil, maybe? They're trying to extract something from the world, and the Orplings are enslaved by this thing. Now, my problem is, you remember maybe when Orplings touch you, like the player, a battle begins, right? Right, so you lost the game because the evil console took over your game, so you have to try the simulation. Not really lost the game. It depends what you mean by lost the game, if you want to troll me by losing the game, or you just talking about the game itself. But no, the game actually starts itself. The console is the game. Anyway, the Orplings can touch you and then start a battle, right? Yes, the evil console is the game. And then some kind of explosion happens with this white sphere going into whatever, and then the battle starts. Now this white sphere will be the battle arena, but it will be like a separate dimension into a dimension from this crystal. Like a parallel universe into the whatever we saw already with the islands, etc. Now the problem is, these guys do fight you and create this, but at some point in the game you will beat the big evil, and then the Orplings are not enslaved anymore. So why would these guys attack you in the end game where they are not enslaved? And why would we still be in this dimension of the crystals? And that is now a question I need to answer, or else I will have problems. And this is now not, how to say, I'm not asking you to solve my problem. I'm just trying to explain my problem. SRP should be... Okay, so... Wait, what? You console. You lost me at console. Sorry. But you're smart, almost like me. You will figure it out eventually. Yeah, maybe. I hope so. And at this point, just end it there. So right now I'm trying to make the part of the game where the console is ready and tells you to go to the simulation, that you write yes and then you go into the 3D world. That's where we are right now. But before I implement that, I want to try to find a solution to my problem. I'm not sure if I can, actually. Seems a little complicated. What if the person is in the middle? Well, then the person would be in the middle. What do you mean? Let me explain it differently. Now, you know my game, right? We can walk around, etc. This is the simulation. And the software that we just saw, the console, is this crystal with these other crystals combined. Now we can interact with this crystal to go to the other islands at the top. And then we have these orblings jumping around here. And when I touch them, they make this sphere here. And then we get to a new dimension. This dimension here. Can you follow until to this place? Now instead of the islands, we have this other dimension, and normally you would now see some kind of matrixy other worlds where we can see the islands being very lighty and whatever. Now this dimension is called the flow, and it is part of the crystal structure to do things. In this world you can extract the energy you collect from the other world. And the crystal, the tree, can use it to grow. Now, the original idea of this structure is to extract this energy and do something with it. But after Act 1 and Act 2, you beat the boss and defeat the guy that actually uses this. So the Orplings are no longer enslaved, and the use of this dimension, I'm not so sure if I can now, how to say, explain, because now that the big evil is gone and the functionality of the crystal is different, why would I need this dimension here? Why would the Orplings still fight me if they are not enslaved in the end of the game, where it's an endless game now? The story is over. The evil guy is gone. The Orplings are free. Why would they still fight you? That is my question. And right now that we have like a sidekick that will assume control over this structure, these crystals. So she can determine what happens to these Orplings, maybe. Yes, but I want to change that. It won't be a white floor and black sky. I will change this when we reach this place. Right now I'm working on this part. When this is done, we will work on this part. And this part is all about the environment of the battle arena. My problem is, if I cannot explain this other dimension, why would I even create it? You know? What do you know? Oh, hello, Scene. How are you doing, man? What's poppin'? I feel like I could ignore this issue and just work. But at some point I need to answer it, and I feel like if I don't come to a conclusion at that point, all the work I put into this part with the environment will be for nothing. Working on VFX, oh, that's nice. Which is one of my favorite things. Like engineering, but whimsical enough. Well, what should I say? I'm very bad at it. What do you mean you don't know? You just said you know. Why are you now takesy backsy? Yeah, like I said, Kona, you don't have to solve this. I'm just explaining my problem. And you don't have the whole picture of the game. It's fine. You forgot. I kinda don't think you did. How dare you? You can always write your ideas here. It doesn't matter if it's stupid or not. I guess I don't know. I could come up with a solution like, yeah, okay. The guy that is now controlling that tree is like, yeah, you as a player need a challenge, so I'm teasing you to add the orblings to attack you still or something, but why? No sense. And what's the reason of the game then, if no one attacks the player? But yeah, I also said that. That was like my theoretical solution. Like, yeah, if the orblings have no one to attack, why would they attack? So, do they just not? I mean, certainly that is one solution, which would make sense, but I'm not sure if it's a fun solution. You have? No. No, no, no. We don't go that way. That don't work. How is work, Kona? Are the customers happy? In a comb? This whole time, you mean coma? No. Can't do that. Oh no. Are they like, why is my delivery not on point? Why are you so late? Well. You are mean. You can't say that. What is the flow? Flow is a parallel dimension created by the crystal, which is the program you're sucked into, which helps the crystal to absorb whatever the artifacts collect. And game mechanical or game visuals wise, this is the environment for the battle arena or the battles in general. Oh, now you understand, Connor? I see. Then you can come up with a solution then, right? The crystal is tantamount? What does that mean? You lost that console again? Let me Google that word. Tantamount. Ah, same as. I mean, yes. The crystal structure is the tree. Yes, that is also my problem right now. My game changed a little bit, where the tree is now something hostile instead. Well, it will turn into something useful at the end, but right now it seems to be sprouting seed of evil. Or at least some kind of how to say, neutral evil, like not thinking about that it is evil, just doing its nature. So in that sense, I lost the connection to the World 3 mythos. Should I go to square one and try to find another way to do this? Bye bye, Kona. Thanks for tuning in. Let me get another cup of tea. Are the underside of the floating islands the flow zone? No. The top side is the light side, the bottom side is the dark side. And the idea was that you can go into this parallel world, which is like just switching everything into this matrixy view. Now, I'm not sure if that's a good idea or not, but that was the intention, to make an environment for the battle area, and now I'm not so sure if it fits or not. There are multiple problems right now. Very hard problems too. I feel like having this flow zone, as you describe it, makes it a little too much. We already have a light and dark side. Why do we need that part too? Just to explain why we are in a battle arena. It makes no sense. I think I need to scrap it. Honestly. It makes for a good, how to say, good environment and puzzling piece, etc. if I can combine it, but if we concentrate my game down into what it should be, it might be too much. I mean, I'm sure I can solve it and implement it, but I'm not sure if I should. It feels like it's just one step too much. The light side and dark side of the crystal. Wait, for a distance, when I look at purely visual level, it has a couple obvious dualities. Light side, dark side, top side, underside, yes. And adding the other dimension would be like, I don't know, it just goes sideways now. Doesn't have like this duality feeling anymore. I mean, okay, we could say, yeah, there's the normal world and the flow worlds. It would be also duality, but it would be like multiplied on already a duality world. Just makes no sense. Unless the flow also has a duality part in it, I guess, but makes no sense. It gets away from the contrast of light and dark unless I make the flow to be the dark side. But then we lose the nature of the world, which already should have a light and dark side. Unless now we just added the dark side in, but then it is inherently evil and not some natural thing. And I think that's not good. So I guess whatever I do, this flow thing just takes away from the feeling I want to communicate to the player. So let's say we do scrap this. It's not a big deal. But the issue with the Orplings at the end, why they attack you, would still stand. I just need some kind of answering at some point to that question. I'm sure I can find something. And now we have a new problem, or the old problem again, where I don't know what to do with the battle environment. I feel like the Orplings need to grab you into another world. Or something else. Some stasis chamber-like space world. If I don't have this, we still need this, and that is my problem. And I cannot just start the battle on top of wherever I touch the Orplings. Firstly, that will be a nightmare of a programming problem. since I would need to make sure viewpoints are correct, etc. Everything is out of the sight. Collision doesn't make problems. We don't lose the position where we are, etc. And the arena needs to fit in wherever we touch the Orbling. Or we have to move to somewhere. It just makes no sense. It's just very unclean. I feel like as a design thing, it's very unclean to just fight on top of the islands. Possible, but unclean. What do you mean by real scale? We are in a digital world, so real scale is something relative. Ah. No, it's a digital world, one-to-one to the character. The shrunk idea was when we go to the other dimension. That was my initial idea, that we get sucked into this other dimension, where if we look outside, that everything would look bigger, because now we are like in a little arena, but for us everything looks big, but outside looks, how to say, my idea was this. But that's like the old idea, right? That when we are here on top of the islands with the, I don't know, crystal, etc. And then there's the Orbling with us, and then it touches us. We morph into this little thingy. So when other people also fight, we would see this little area, maybe like some kind of black hole that sucks in light. I don't know, it's just some kind of effect. But inside with the arena where we fight, we could see the outside world as a big area. So we could scale it, but yeah, it just was an idea. I feel like that's not good. I guess I need to simplify it, really. Just say that we get into a Orbling arena. The Orblings just create one or something. The Orblings and the crystal can do this. Don't ask me how. It's just how it is, or something. Maybe sometimes it's okay to go the simple way without trying to explain every single detail. Didn't Gaben say it doesn't need to be realistic? It just needs to be fun. I can use that as an excuse. I'm reminded of various theories of string theory that hypothesizes that there are several extra dimensions of space, but they are folded. Yes, that was also my idea. So within those extra axes, you could go far and they loop back onto themselves. My idea was with the flow that you could just go into the other dimension, and depending on where you do that, you can walk on things or are trapped into a little area. And when you're trapped in an area, then you have to fight like the Orplings that do trap you in there, or if you're alone, you can just go back on your own free will. But yeah. It does. But I also feel like it it's just one step too much for my game. I'm really not sure. It's like if I don't test it, I cannot know, and if I implement it, it might be too much energy spent into something that's not that worth it. You think? Why would that be? We have just a hard fact that I need a battle environment. And that could be just the flow, without explaining. Just makes the connection a little, I don't know. Documentary about astronauts living on the International Space Station, and they were talking about how in 0G you can use all of the space. You can have equipment on the ceiling, just float there in a way you never could on Earth. Yeah, I like these things where you can think outside the box. There are many such cases in gaming, actually, where you try to first go into the game with the knowledge you already have from other games. And then the game actually has some kind of new mechanic, and you use it to solve it in a way that the game has intended. But sometimes the mechanics are so liberating that you can do very crazy things with it. Like in Titanfall, doing gravity stuff with the hooks and so on, or in Portal, being able to go to places where the puzzle's not even intended you to go to. That kind of thing. I like that in multiplayer games where you are one of the first people playing it and no one else figuring these things out, and then you can just steamroll everyone. I like those moments. Oh boy. Maybe, but it takes away from the duality thing. Now there's one more thing. I do understand it though. I mean, it would make it more interesting. Just to solve puzzles in a different way, I guess. In the end, I don't know. The world traversals needs to be interesting too, so the flow would have been one element that we could have used for that, but then again I could also add other things that don't use the flow to make puzzles, I guess. There's another negative thing about the flow, that it just makes it on your nose that it is some kind of software. And I want that to be a twist. So now I'm like in this predicament that it feels fun, but also it breaks the feeling, so might be not as fun, but maybe it is fun. And we do need a battle environment. It does need to be the flow, but the flow would fit in there. It's very, very strange situation. You think I should make some kind of contrast to the islands? I feel like the duality is always in that world, and the flow is like this artificial thing we introduced as humans, which doesn't fit in there. So why should the flow now harmonize with the world, making it also a contrast to fit into everything? Exactly, me neither. I could make it harmonize, but then again, if you think about it, why would it all of a sudden harmonize with the world? I mean, thinking of it, this world, the crystal will fall down, we crash to desktop, and the simulations goes on again. So years pass in that digital world, so maybe the crystal does harmonize with the world somehow. That is true. I mean, you do have a close idea, actually. The puzzle pieces that are relevant, you already know. Man. And I was here like thinking, okay, we have only one problem. It just opened a big problem into my whole game. The small problem being why the Orplings would fight you if they're not enslaved anymore. And now I'm thinking about the flow. Very, 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 very tricky. I guess Orplings just like to fight then. Do they fight also outside of the islands? Maybe the island is now their place where they just compete on growing up. That would be one reason why they would fight you, even though they are not enslaved anymore. What if the world does assimilate this program, I guess? No, we already have the idea that it is actually enslaving whatever is there. So the crystal sends out these artifacts that will be the core of the swarms. The swarms being many orblings in a cluster. And they fight you as to extract energy for the crystal. So now I'm still scared of this part. Do I go for it? Well, the thing is, we always have the duality, as you said, with the white and dark side. And the elements. There is no dark crystal, there is a white and dark crystal. The crystal will be the program which will be having trouble to come to this world, as there is this entity blocking it from going there. So when you go in the first time into the simulation, you are this artifact, and then you can interact with the crystal, and there will be a mock battle where the crystal has like no shape and is gray or something, and you will use your attacks to repair it to have the the crystal shape we already know, with the dark and white side, where it then opens a rift in that simulation where you are, that dark void, where then the entity that blocked you out comes and you start an unwinnable battle, and it will fight you, but defeat you, fight the crystal, damage it, the crystal will damage the entity, the crystal will fall down, create the crater, and you will crash into desktop. The simulation will continue. You will try to enter it again, and then you will find yourself in the air falling down into the crater, where Mira will pick you up. So the flow comes from a void that you created with the console command that hooks itself up to this world on your PC. And the flow is part of that crystal, as the crystal is trying to grow into the sky to a special space or special area that it wants to reach. And the flow is like the connection between these crystals. So originally it's just one crystal. When you crash into the desktop, it grows into multiple crystals floating to the sky, trying to chain itself upwards. But what exactly the flow is, that is now, of course, something else. Could be like just the space of the flow, but yeah, we are losing the duality. It has nothing to do with the white and dark side. Wasn't there an invert option in the old paints? The old new paint, that is. Why is there AI in my paints? I don't understand, man. AI in my fridge. It's so crazy, man. Everyone just tries to chase that hype to get AGI, but they don't know what they're losing. And especially, what I find funny is there are companies that are like, yeah, AI first, but they don't understand they are not innovating. They are just using a tool someone else is using, creating. The actual innovation is like the guys in the AI companies and not the ones that use the AI. They're like, oh, look, we can do these things now with AI. We are so brilliant. No, you're just making yourself dependent on those other companies. Good luck surviving that hellhole now. Hmm. I was thinking, hey, maybe the flow can be a contrast world where everything is flipped. But a flip in a flip? Really? Now what would these be then, if they are inverted? Is this fire or is this fire? Cold fire. I feel like that just makes everything way complicated. If I go and say the flow is a contrast world, then I would need to also implement new elements with new effects, etc. It makes no sense. It just makes no sense. We are going into a future creep area. I feel like I don't have a good way to make this fit into our two things thingy. We already have the overworld, which has the light and darkness, and when we are in the flow, I cannot just make new things. I mean, I could make it like a flip world, but also that makes no sense. It just doesn't have some kind of oomph, I guess. Maybe it doesn't need that. What if I'm really ditch the flow and just imply there is something like that? Like you don't see it actually, but the flow is there. And the battle arena will be some kind of shapes and forms of black and white. Does that even make sense? Can I even make something interesting with just black and white shapes, depending on what hit you? I feel like depending on what side you are and you start a battle, either it is dark mode or light mode, so you could get flashbanged by a battle. This is also not visually appealing, is it now? I mean, maybe it is visually appealing, but I feel like I shouldn't flashbang the player. Or should I? I don't know. Maybe I should flashbang the player. So okay, let's say there is no flow that the Orklings can force you into. They actually make this barrier that they can create. Artifacts can do it too. So why would they use this to fight you when they are not enslaved? My idea was okay, because they still want to reach fairyhood, but in the first part of Act 3 they cannot reach that anyway, since the rift is closed. Does it have a different concept of passage of time and concurrency? You mean the flow or the barrier? I mean both. The battle will not move the time. It's also maybe hard to explain why you would see other people fight in these little orbs. Since from outside you cannot see the fight if they are in this barrier area. Only if they don't create a barrier you can see them fight. But if the time does not flow, wouldn't it just be an instant? That's good. And what is your explanation? Mine doesn't, I guess. I have a plot hole here. Why can you see these things while the time stops? I guess the time just stops because of game reasons and not story reasons. Maybe the time does flow still, but we just stop the time because of game reasons. So the player has to believe that the time just flows, I guess. A game world is a far-away alien planet that materializes dreams. When humans on Earth dream of this dream world, they are psychically linked to their own avatars on the faraway planet. Distance creates a sort of lag. Ah, I see. I also have a theme of whatever people are dreaming, something happens in my world. And I love Little Big Planet. I thought maybe the Orplings are just the thoughts of people's dreams. Well, I guess the flow does really die here, and we go with the black and white environments instead, which will be the thing that blocks everything. I feel like this is the right way to go, and something in the back of my head is like very anxious to make an error, to ditch this thing, and this is maybe very important, but I feel like it shouldn't be there. You know that feeling? Trying to cut something and thinking that it makes everything complicated, story-wise, gameplay-wise, even disrupts the integrity of your story, but it feels cool, but you cannot justify it, so you cut it. But something in you is like protesting. Protesting to overthink it. But I have so many arguments against this. Very, very concrete arguments against this. Yeah, that's the thing. I think I am using my lore ideas, and it just... this puzzle piece doesn't seem to be fitting it. In any category. Not gameplay wise, no, not story wise, not lore wise. Not aesthetically wise. The only thing that is positive about this is that it's just cool to have. As in, yeah, wow, you are now in another dimension, everything looks different. But it just takes away from the core idea, I guess. It's so... I should stop thinking about this. The flow needs to go. It cannot stay. So I think I answered the questions. The original question being why the Orblings would still attack the player, and the answer is because they want to grow. But the original problematic question from yesterday is still open, which is why would they try to collect energy as they cannot turn into fairies right now anyway? But that is maybe a question for another time. So now we go here and start with this, I guess. We need to create the void where there is a crystal that wants to be shaped into the crystal shape. Where do I even begin here? Do I go and model a crystal that is misshaped and make a morph target with the crystal shape? I guess the first thing we should do is put a little artifact. I don't need to concept it right now, but we need to concept it at some point. To have a player be able to walk around after the console part, and we should add this autosave feature into it so we can start at a further point of the game instead of from always the beginning. So now one of the things is our level controller is very shitty. It is used in all places, in many places. Like here. I feel like I should use bundles. Of levels that we show and hide. How do I load the first islands? Build island start area. How does it know this? We just say start area and then load levels and notify. Fine. Is this enough? This code needs to happen way before. I guess this is the code for the autosave stuff. the wrong place to do this. Can't walk. You're not getting there. Don't even need to debug this part. I want to see if there is a fade or not. Problem here. I think it just appears without a fade. There is no fade. fate come from? I do this first. Oh, cool. You don't need to do empty strings anymore. I mean, arrays. That's nice. Wait. How did that happen? That was odd. I need to catch that in this in the VOD. The splash screen was there after the whatever. Very strange. I am back. Huh. UI control cannot be. Can the UI control? Oh wait, a different error. Don't have this anymore. I mean, we will ditch this completely anyway. So why don't we go and do this? I mean, that whole code will be ditched. Not only that part, but the new game part too, because we will start the game differently. But for now, I just want to see if I can make Mira move on the platform. Even Mira will vanish, be replaced by something else, so whatever. That didn't get triggered. Not a single thing got triggered. Why is this not getting triggered? But I think that's the problem. No, is it? I should skip this. I just do this. Print the error. Did I make a typo? Yeah. A typo. Not triggering that code. root not getting an... Oh. That's the problem. Okay. Yeah, that's a problem. It did not solve the problem. Don't wait for the root to happen. Okay. Important. What? I think this is like that. So weird. Good, now it works. Oh. Okay, good. But we have to work on a lot of things here. Like the code itself is not good. We need like dedicated code for this. You have to refactor a lot of things, I think, going this route. But now we can load into a new level that has no backgrounds. Maybe we will add a background, but that needs to be coming from some kind of level level bundle or something. Maybe we should do that next time. I'm not sure. You have to see. Anyway, that's it for today. I will keep the debug stuff in, and can search it then from here. But yeah, I think we also need the autosave function. We need to do level bundles, I guess. Which means we need to refactor a lot of things afterwards too. So maybe we are getting into a place where I'm breaking everything to rebuild from scratch again, but we will see. Anyway, that's it for today. Everyone, thanks for watching. Thanks for the support, and I will see you guys next time. Bye bye, monkey.